let's talk about blackface. This is just something that's been bouncing around in my head for a while, so I thought I'd get it out in a video. So I'm going to talk about like my history with blackface, not that I've done it, just my history of experiencing it, and then what I think about it. I'm not going to talk about the history of blackface in general, because that's a whole other video, and that's something that I might do, but I don't want to do today. If you do want to see me do that though, let me know in the comments, or send me a message somewhere, I don't know, tell me. I am obviously mixed race. I've got a white family, and that's who I grew up with, that's my whole family, so basically I kind of grew up as white, except I don't look white, if that makes if that makes sense. When I was a kid, my grandparents were really into Al Jolson, and so was I. If you don't know who Al Jolson is, he's the guy from The Jazz Singer, which is like the first talking motion picture. It's the first like talkie, and he did blackface in that. In fact, he was really famous for doing blackface, and me being a dumb kid that didn't know anything, that probably didn't even realize that he was black, I loved Al Jolson. Looking back, it's kind of weird that white grandparents would show their black grandson blackface. I don't even know if it registered to them. So starting off, yeah, I was a little bit desensitized to it. I didn't realize what it was. Then like growing up in high school and stuff, it was something that people did. I remember going to a party in high school, and I won't say who this is, but someone I went to school with just decided to do blackface for a party. It was a fancy dress party, it was Halloween I think, and he and a friend were going to dress up as the Men in Black. So obviously, he blacked up. I can't believe this is something that someone did, and it's totally fine. Like, he's a nice enough guy, but also he did blackface just as a joke, which I take issue with. And that's not the only guy in my school to have done that. After we'd left, someone was in uni, and he and his friends decided to go as Cool Runnings. This was a lot worse than the time before, because not only did he dress up like a black person, he also decided to Snapchat me and a bunch of other people. I think he put it on his story. Just awful, awful things. Using words that he shouldn't have used as a white person, but it was okay for him because he was dressed as a black guy. It's kind of ridiculous that we talk about blackface as though it's something that is widely seen as bad, and yet you still have people doing it just as a joke in itself. Like the fact that they're dressing up as a black person is the joke. Those are the kind of experiences that I've had with blackface throughout my life. Whenever I've seen someone in my real life say they're going to do it or decide to do it, I am always against it. And through the conversations I've had with people, I just don't understand why they think that it's okay. Generally what their argument is, and the argument that you hear a lot of the time is, well, if I'm portraying a character, then it's not racist. Which is so strange. You've got a plethora of white characters to choose from, and you decide to go as Cool Runnings. For some reason, why would you do that? You have everyone, and you choose the one group that you're not allowed to choose. I mean, even if you were going to go as Cool Runnings, you don't need to black up for it, just wear the outfits and it'll be uncomfortable because you're dressing as black people, but people will still get what the costume is. Whenever I've dressed as a white character, I've not whited myself up to look like them, you know? Like, if I'm dressing as Tony Stark, I don't go ahead and like slap my face like full of white makeup. It's not necessary. From what I've just said, you probably think that I'm against blackface outright, which kind of is true, but also I think there is nuance to it. When it comes to any kind of offensive or risky joke, you need two things in order to make it. One, it needs to be funny. And when I say it needs to be funny, the joke can't be, look, I'm a black man. That's not being funny. There needs to be a joke other than that. And two, it needs to be saying something, as in you need it to mean something. You can't use it as a punchline and not condemn it in the same breath. For instance, Tropic Thunder, let's say, that film where Robert Downey Jr. got blacked up. The whole point of that was to make fun of people that would do things like that. The character was not taken seriously by anyone. It's kind of funny, not the way that he does the blackface, but the way that the characters react to it. And that's the important part. The joke shouldn't be, look, here's someone dressed as a black man, how funny is that? That's the whole point. Whenever you have blackface in media, the point should be to not do blackface. I suppose the question that a lot of people will ask at some point is, am I ever allowed to do it? Is it ever funny? From what I've said, I guess I think that sometimes it can be used for humour. For instance, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is a show that constantly pushes that kind of stuff, but it's very clear that the characters that are doing it are the worst people that you don't want to emulate at all. The point is that everything they do is awful, and the people that do these things are also awful. Ultimately, the point that I wanted to make, the reason that I've made this whole video is for this. If you want to do blackface, you're not allowed to do blackface. That's it. If you want to do it, you shouldn't do it. It's as simple as that. I can give all of these kind of rules for what would make it okay and what would make it funny, but ultimately, the people that want to do it, the people that are asking these questions and arguing back against whether it's okay or not to do blackface or whether gollywogs are offensive or not, these people are being racist and they shouldn't do it at all. It is a catch-22. Technically, yes, blackface can be used in a way that isn't offensive. But if you want to do it, then it's offensive and you can't do it. So just don't. And if you're asking why you can't, you should really be asking why you want to. If it's something that is so offensive to people and actually hurts people and has a history of being used to ridicule one group of people, why do you want to be a part of that? Why is that something that you want to join in on? The thing about blackface is that sometimes people think that it seems harmless and they're not hurting anyone, they're just dressing up in a costume. But I can say from myself that that does actually hurt people. When I see someone that thinks it's funny to black themselves up and paint their lips bright red, I feel like they're making fun of me specifically. I feel personally attacked by that. I don't think you can be, say, my friend and do that and not have it affect me in some way. You're kind of disregarding the entire history of segregation and oppression that black people have faced up until this point. By doing that, you're kind of saying, well, history doesn't matter, I think it's funny. This whole thing calls back to when black people weren't treated as equal citizens, when they were ridiculed and killed and all of that. That is a symbol of that time. And by using that symbol just for laughs, you're kind of saying that it's not that bad. That might not be what you want, but that is basically what you're saying. The only acceptable cases in my mind, and this is my mind, it's still offensive to a lot of other people, are the ones that use blackface to make a comment on racism itself. That use it to really just show how awful things have been and how awful blackface itself is. That's what I think, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments below, or don't. I don't really care. You can also subscribe to my podcast. I do that every Monday. We talk about science things, and it's really fun, and the link for that's in the description. Bye. I just want to add at the end of this that what I've said in this video can be taken wildly out of context. Based on the last video I did that had a little bit of sarcasm in it, I feel like I need to explicitly say, blackface is bad, don't do it, I don't think it's okay for you to do it, and I'm not condoning your use of it. No, don't do it, bad, awful, goodbye.